Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, Your Excellency, Chairman of this ad hoc committee, Right Honorable Kabir Ruru, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Honorable Aliyu Mustafa Abdullahi, member representing Ikara Kubau Federal Constituency. You are all welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, sir.
Okay, thank you. The Right Honorable Speaker, ably represented by our leader, Right Honorable Hassan Adodogwa, the seventh timer in this assembly, my respected honorable colleagues, other invited guests, I remain Right Honorable Kabir Al-Assad Room. I represent Honorable Crude Federal Constituency. I am from Kano State. I happen to be the chairman of this ad hoc committee. Thank you. You are all welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, the master of ceremony, permit me to also answer my father's name. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my name is Honorable Ado Dogwa. I represent the very good people of Dogwa, Chunumwada Federal Constituency from Kano State. And it's my special pleasure here to stand in for the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. Thank you and God bless all.
Thank you, sir. Your Excellency, if you permit me, Mr. Chairman, may we quickly take introduction from stakeholders, only the head of delegation.
Right Honorable Speaker, ably represented by my brother, Honorable Adodogo, the chairman of this very important committee, Honorable Ruru, very respected members of this committee belonging to this hallowed green chambers, my colleagues. My name is Dr. Ahmed Abubakar Audi. I am the Commandant General, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps.
The chairman and honorable members, let me stand on the already established protocol. I am Joseph Dashwe, Director Operations, DSS. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Honorable Speaker, ably represented by Al-Hassan Adodogu and other distinguished members, good morning. My name is Dapa William, Assistant Controller General of Customs, standing in for the Controller General of Customs. Thank you.
Any other stakeholder?
Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen here present, all protocols observed. My name is Terry Ajobena, and I'm here on behalf of the Office of the National Security Advisor.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Chairman, may I and the members of the committee, may I stand on the existing protocol, established protocol. My name is Mrs. Uju Catherine Ifejika. I'm the CEO of Britannia U. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, ably represented here, Chairman of the committee and other honorable members. My name is Gweke Ajaifia. I represent OPTS, Oil Producers Trade Section of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you.
From the Norwegian Embassy.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, my name is Eivind Fjellstad. I'm the Embassy Counselor of the Royal Norwegian Embassy. Thank you very much.
Ably represented, the chairman
chairman of the ad hoc committee, other honorable members, fellow distinguished persons here present, stakeholders, and the press. My name is Captain Wardi Hiso, and I represent Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited. Thank you.
I am representing the acting governor, Central Bank of Nigeria. Thank you.
And your stakeholder, Your Excellency, the Honorable Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives, ably represented here, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, invited stakeholders here in this hall. We have two honorables who are both referred to or called Al-Hassan. We have one Al-Hassan, the former leader of this great house, and presently the chairman of House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Upstream. The other one is the chairman of this very important ad hoc committee. On this note, it is my honor and privilege to invite the second Al-Hassan. And incidentally, the two of them are from Kano State. Very, very vibrant. Your Excellency, it is my honor and privilege at this point to invite the chairman, House of Representatives ad hoc committee on the need to investigate crude oil theft and loss of revenue accrued from oil and gas sector in Nigeria, Honorable Kabiru Al-Hassan Rurum, to please present his welcome remarks.
Thank you, the MC. The Right Honorable Speaker, ably represented by my brother and friend, Right Honorable Hassan Adudogwa, the leader of the 9th Assembly, my respected colleagues here present, and members of this very important committee, the Commander General, Nigerian Civil Defense Corps, Dr. Audi, representative of the Inspector General of Police, DIG Abiodun, representative of the Chief of Army Staff, representative of Chief of Air Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, the DSS representative, representative of the Custom Controller General, the NSA representative, the Norwegian Embassy representative, Tantita Nigeria Security Nigeria Limited, representative of the acting CBN governor, other distinguished personalities here present that I cannot mention their names. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome to this very important and historic occasion. May I, on behalf of my colleagues and members of this very committee, welcome you all to this very historic event. If you may recall, the House on Wednesday, 12 July 2023, deliberated on the above-mentioned and resolved to constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate crude oil theft in Nigeria with a view to curbing economic loss and ensuring that everyone complicit in the theft is brought to book. Consequently, the ad hoc committee was constituted by the House on Wednesday, 27 July 2023. You may equally recall that one of the major key points in justifying the investigation is the 2020 NETI audit report, which stated that about 609.9 million barrels of crude oil, valued at $45 billion, have been stolen in the last 12 years. In the motion, the House also expressed concern that security agencies and the other stakeholders are largely responsible in facilitating most of the oil theft in the Niger Delta, according to the motion table on that very important day. My dear distinguished and respected Nigerians, this committee has begun legislative duties as mandated by the House. The burden on this occasioned by oil theft and its associated impact on the economy is completely unacceptable and cannot be tolerated by any government who sincerely love its citizens. The way and manner this act of sabotage and the breach on our national security and sovereignty is carried out on daily basis make a caricature of our pride as a nation and even a mockery of our security and intelligence agencies. It is an affront on government and its institutions which must be tackled without further delay. It is in the light of this that the House constituted this committee and is determined to bring this ugly wise. There may be no future for our remaining children who have not yet jumped to other countries in search of survival. I am therefore appealing to all the invited stakeholders to please work together with the committee for us to put an end to this embarrassing scenario. And to members of the armed forces security agencies, all Nigerians in the various states, host communities, and even the diaspora who are involved in this practice, I challenge you all to have a rethink. We have no other country to call our own than Nigeria. Let us therefore not put this madness to a point of no return, where we will find nowhere to run to. To our esteemed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I extend my heartfelt congratulations for the courageous steps you have taken so far to rebuild our beloved nation. However, this effort will be in vain unless we make a resolute statement and send a powerful message through both word and action, declaring that oil theft and all form of hydrocarbon accountability will not be tolerated under the administration. Only then can our people confidently and joyfully embrace a renewed sense of hope and purpose. On our part, this committee promised to do its work thoroughly and dispassionately. We assure our beloved Nigerian hearing, and I wish us all a fruitful deliberation and discussion. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Invited stakeholders, you are very, very important. I think my chairman deserves a better round of applause. Though this is an investigative hearing, but at the technical stage of the hearing, this is the opening ceremony. Thank you for that. And of course, he is my honorable.
Honorable Mukhtar Tolani Shagai, representing the good people of Ilorin.
Organization that they are very important to this investigative hearing. In the course of the hearing, you will get to know it so. But for now, allow me to handle the microphone to them to just do a kind of introduction quickly, sir.
Hello, good morning all. My name is Dr. Ado Abdu. I'm the MD of Ultrasonic Integrity Energy Services. We are into NDT, non-destructive testing.
Thank you. On this note, Your Excellency, may we meet you, sir?
Thank you very much, distinguished members of the committee. Mr. Chairman, please, I'm sincerely sorry for coming late. I'm very, very sorry. My name is Dr. Oji Ogbonnaya Oji, Executive Secretary of Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. It is my honor and privilege at this point to invite the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, ably represented by the capable, hardworking, very agile, very vibrant Chairman House of Representatives, to please present his address and declare this investigative hearing open. Your Excellency, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على نبي الكريم. My respected colleagues, my bosses, members of the 10th House of Representatives, and specifically members of this committee, my friend, my brother, the chairman of this very special ad hoc committee, distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
most specifically the Commandant General of the Civil Defense Corps, other representatives of the various security agencies that are here. Good morning all. I rise to keep to the protocol as laid down by the chairman of the committee and of course the protocol of the National Assembly, to register my regards to invited guests, ladies and gentlemen that are here. But distinguished colleagues, my respected members of the committee, I would like to crave your indulgence to please allow me read the speaker's message while I'm seated. Some of you may need to ask why. He was able to stand because he has only one wife and a few kids in his home. I'll tell you reasons why I will not be able to stand standing and deliver a 3 or 4 pages message from the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Please allow me to read the Speaker's message while I'm seated. Thank you. It's like some others are frowning. Let me put it to vote. Voice vote. Those that are in favor that I sit down and read the Speaker's speech, say aye, please. Those against it, say nay. Nobody is here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, most especially members of this very important committee, my colleagues, members of the House of Reps, my brother, the chairman of this very special ad hoc committee, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the press, let me say once again, good morning to this very important parliamentary engagement. Like it has been said earlier, who fortunately or unfortunately is unavoidably absent. I said fortunately or unfortunately because it's unfortunate that he's not here for most of you. But for me, it's fortunate that I have the opportunity to stand in here and be addressed as Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives. Very special opportunity. If he had not traveled out of the country for other engagements, I wouldn't have been here to be addressed as representative of the Speaker. Please give me a round of applause, please. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have the prepared speech with me here, and I want to go ahead straight to read as follows. All to this very strategic and crucial House public hearing. This event today could signal the renaissance of new Nigeria, and Right Honorable Speaker, and indeed the entire House, place high premium on the national impact of the expected outcome of this legislative proceeding. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our nation today faces major fiscal crisis. The 2023 Appropriation Act, as you all know, contains a total expenditure of 21.83 trillion and a projected revenue of a total of 10.49 trillion naira. This leaves of over 11.34 trillion naira, and the country is therefore expected to rely on domestic and external the mini clerk here, all acting for and behalf of the larger house of the larger house of representatives. So I hope you give them all the necessary cooperation to be able to give the necessary facts that will eventually guide the house in taking the right decisions. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of them.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. When I introduce him as a very vibrant...
What we're doing here is very serious business. And it is very unfortunate that some very key stakeholders who ought to be here and help this committee in Nigeria.
The National Security Advisor for his own presentation. And I think we need to do it maybe in 10 minutes. I don't know whether the time can permit because I think 10 minutes is okay. So 10 minutes, please. The representative of the National Security Advisor, please come forward. The next after her is Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Army, third, Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian Police, the Civil Defense Corps, the DSCS, Navy, Ops, and the other that LPTS. So, are you set already?
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I'll move quickly to, first of all, apologize on behalf of the National Security Advisor, who had tasked the interim administrator of the Presidential Amnesty Program, as well as the chairman of the recently concluded Special Investigation Panel on Oil Theft and Losses. He was supposed to be here to make this presentation. Presidential Amnesty Program interim administrator and also a co-opted member into the Special Theft and Loss. I out of the incident or the of the oil pipe, the theft of oil pipe from the oil pipeline at Yoki was what gave rise to the setting up of that investigative.
Continue. Can you use the mic?
Brother, I can't establish any nexus between his identity and that of the National Security Advisor. Mr. Speaker, I therefore move that we step aside his submissions. We step it down. And even if he has to speak from that perspective, he should have furnished the Secretariat with a letter from the office. I don't know if that letter is with you, Mr. Chairman. Assuming that the letter is not there, and the identities he has presented to us has no direct nexus with the Office of the National Security Advisor.
Yes, so please, my respected
honorable member has just said, national security related issues, set up a committee or a panel. He was a distinguished member of that panel. He is here seated. And I believe that panel will prove very, very critical to what this committee is seeking to achieve. Now, I have already met with the clerk. I have told him that we'll be making efforts to make that report available to this distinguished committee. But I must put a caveat. The fact is that a lot of the issues that were uncovered by that panel still have some level of national security protection, and therefore I may not be at liberty some of those things in this gathering. And I want to plead the head, and I've committed to the clerk, we will make as much as possible that report, at least those elements that will be very useful to you without jeopardizing national security available to this panel. I'm sure that will be helpful. Thank you. As I said, I was not asked to make a presentation per se, but I'm just going to say quickly here that issues relating to that panel's findings, particularly as it affects the things that have been raised here or are raised in the letter that was sent. Issues relating to factors aiding crude oil theft in Nigeria, issues relating to knowledge of those principal actors. Again, the committee did get some report on this, but I cannot make that. Again, the National Security Advisor himself will be in a better position to disclose that as may be necessary. Issues of the roles of the government or government entities, it was established that certain elements within our law enforcement, government agencies were found indeed to be taught in that report. Issues relating to the assessment of the current architecture that is in place to protect clients has also been duly captured in report. Relating to the Escravos, the Trans-Escravos pipeline locally, the discovery of the, such as under-reporting, etc. All of those are captured. Now, let me just say something with regard to what the committee did.
the committee spent a lot of time meeting with some of the stakeholders who are even here seated today. We were able to collate the reports from all of these organizations, and we have been able to make recommendations. I believe that those recommendations will be conveyed to this House for your further consideration, because definitely those findings are going to require some level of legislative action. And I want to plead with the House that once those reports are things that we're not aware of any other.
Has called me before now, and he promised to send the details of the report as you mentioned. And it's not only particular to the NSA office. We know some. Thank you. I will give the Oga himself, A.A. Dr. A.A. Abdi, the Commander General Nigerian Civil Defense, to say something. Let us hear from you.
I want to take your leave, Mr. Chairman, that I would suggest, like he said, and also picking a right from the representative of the NSA, that it's only natural that we must believe some of them, and you have them in writing. You submit the secretariat of the committee in confidence, and it will be treated as such. So possibly when you come to make your presentation, just come up with like a lead remark, an introductory remarks, and you make your submissions. Where you think informations are not necessarily needed on camera, please, you are not compelled to do that, please. Because we cannot discharge the cameras, ask them to just leave. It's a public function, and the public needs to know what we are doing here. But some of those things that will be critically taken by the committee can be done in executive. The chairman also said where you have some.
Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Tajudun Abbas, PhD, ably represented by my elder brother, Honorable Adodogwa, Commandant General and General Security and Civil Defense Corps. First, I am here basically because of the following three reasons. One can never say after service. So whenever I receive invitation from the National Assembly, I make sure I honor it, and that is why I'm here. Number one reason. Number two, the second reason, really the mainstay of the Nigerian economy. When we talk of oil, we know that our revenues, within which we use to pay salaries and other, to take care of other critical infrastructures, usually come from oil. And therefore, oil still remains the mainstay of the nation. Is part of this honorable house. Is they say once a parliamentarian is always a parliamentarian. Honorable Tunji Mbumi Ojo was one of you here. So immediately I told him that he quickly said that I should come here first. So these are really the three reasons for the election, especially the new ones. And they also congratulate members that have returned back for the election. Actually, Honorable Speaker, sir, we in Lagos attending a conference representing me for about 3-4 days. He just returned. I also returned. And so we are still compiling our submission. And so because, like I said earlier, the respect that I have for it, I have to come personally as a mark of respect to attend this session. I therefore seek your indulgence, Mr. Honorable Speaker and the Chair, to give the call at least extra 2-3 days so that we can arrange our papers and then make our submission. But nonetheless, I'd like to say something very quickly. We know that the issue of oil theft is a serious crisis in this nation. And just like what the
unrelenting drive of perpetrators of crude oil theft are linked to either remote or immediate causes. I'll just touch on a few of these causes. Like I said, the detailed brief has been submitted. Okay, one of the remote causes is inadequate or obsolete infrastructure. We all know the body, the bunkering activities and connivance with oil thieves. We also have increased innovation and local capacity for establishing illegal refineries, which some refer to as what's the name of the modular. Okay, I'll quickly touch on the actors responsible for crude oil theft, often abated by corrupt and unscrupulous elements among federal government ministries, departments, and agencies. It is imperative to state that while the local actors are active players in the small-scale pilfering and at times large-scale tapping of oil pipelines, the international actors are the main perpetrators, filling large tankers and barges for export, as well as lifting of excess crude oil beyond approved license. Like I said, I'm just touching on the land, and when it comes to the offshore, the appropriate agency will talk about that. I have rules of the federal government here, effects of existing security architecture and arrangements in combating crude oil theft. But I'll just quickly go to some of the recommended measures.
Brigadier, you only have 2 more minutes.
Okay, thank you. So for short-term measures, we are looking at local involvement in pipeline surveillance. So basically, we are talking about investing in technology to monitor our pipelines. Immediate pipeline sweep, prosecution of oil thieves and sponsors, improve transparency in the oil industry. For long-term measure, we are talking about encouraging local refineries. And for long-term measure, we came up with about 3. So building new and modern pipelines, because the existing pipelines, some are as old as right from independence. So we should also look at that, the maritime security reforms. I thank you for giving me this opportunity, and like I said earlier on, the detailed submission is already on your table. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the representative of the Inspector General of Police, DIG. They say you have a court case to answer, so you can quickly do and go.
The Right Honorable Speaker of the House of Rep, represented the Chairman of the Committee on this sitting, and my name is Alabi Abiodun, Deputy Inspector General of Police, 1st Criminal Investigation Department, representing the IGP. One of our statutory duties is to protect lives and properties, and in that way, we were able to put in place a task force to assist other security agencies in tackling the problem of crude oil theft and sharing activities of oil and gas. But to actually address my submission to most of the important areas that will help this committee, I want to quickly go to the factors, in the country. There are a lot of factors which aid this. Though some of them I'm not going to make public here, it's contained in all our reports, and I've sorted the reports, both in hard and soft copies. But suffice to say that the attachment of people to their land is a very key factor that we cannot shy away from. Because a lot of people assume the right that the mineral resources in their various communities, they must have a say and they must, benefit from it. So they tend to get involved in some criminal activities whenever they realize that the government is not doing enough to make them to feel the impact of their resources. One of the major factors is the difficult terrains where these oil installations are located. Most of oil installations are located in the mangrove forest that are not easily accessible, or in the waterways, which makes it difficult for the Nigerian police and other security agencies to police effectively. Great. It's a key factor. Inaccessibility to these areas. Then inaccessible location to rich terrains where stolen crude oil are refined makes it difficult for the effective policing of the areas, which does not help in breaking the chain of all the theft and illegal refining in the stolen crude oil. I will not delve extensively on the area where suspected involvement of some oil company staff and other highly skilled intelligence are involved. But this is contained, it's elaborated in my submission that will assist the committee to really get an insight to this. But it's a factor. There's no reason for us to shy away from that there are some oil company staffs who are, because of their skills in doing all these things. Easily available market for the sale of illegally refined products is a factor too. Experts have shown that illegally refined products such as automotive gas or EGO are even more sought after by some consumers, not just because it is said to be lower in prices, but because it's said to have a slower combustion rate that are not on specific products, in which this readily available market and demand motivates the oil chiefs to get involved in it. Various factors like domestic and foreign involvement in the criminal enterprises of crude oil theft, its ministries and departments, security agencies who can be described as playing a role. It's also subsumed in this report that can be easily grasped from all members of the committee. The effectiveness of existing security architecture and arrangements in combating the crude oil theft in Nigeria, the arrest and prosecution of dealers in illegally refined products and those involved in all manners of illegal bunkerings, confiscation, forfeiture of and sales of assets have greatly deterred those involved. I want to say something here. In prosecuting the criminals that are involved in this, why they are being there are some response to some of the questions sent to us for us to give an insight. For example, the details of the surveillance projects where police are, as it's called, saddled with the responsibility of monitoring the oil pipelines. Then the list of oil companies that the Nigerian police force is guiding are stated in the report too for information of the committee members. We have had oil theft instances and pipeline vandalism recorded from 2010 to date, about 59 that have been prosecuted. Number of the maritime tankers, barges, local boats, and other containers intercepted from 2010 to date, 128 is attached as an extra to my report. The estimated value of crude oil and petroleum products seized on a yearly basis and how they were disposed. We don't know that one because we are not in the position to know that one, sir. Then the evidence of prosecution of arrested oil chiefs are attached. Comprehensive lists are attached with my report. The Nigerian police force has no maritime tankers and barges. Nonetheless, Nigerian police has over time intercepted local boats, tankers, which are safely kept at various police stations across the Niger Delta states, Lagos and Abuja. All those are they are attached as an extra. So it has been highlighted with my report. Then evidence of collaboration with other security agencies, the postings and all, how we have been collaborating with other security agencies, police force and other security agencies in tackling these menace. I will continue to collaborate with others.
Next, Nigerian Air Force. Nigerian Air Force.
Mr. Chairman, sir, gentlemen, I am Air Vice Marshal Air Abdul Gari, the Chief of Training and Operations, Headquarters, Nigerian Air Force. So permit me to start by responding about representation. I remember the Chief of Air Staff calling me yesterday saying, leave. He felt I was the office. Probably he may not come here because the information you want, he believed I'm in a better position to give it to you. By virtue of the fact that I'm in charge of operations in Nigerian Air Force, and I have been involved in 2003, I was there. I was involved in the amnesty program of the Niger Delta, and last year I was in charge of special operations in the Niger. So, say, talking about oil bunkering, pipeline vandalization, I mean the audience that is seated here, nobody is going to. This money is going into their pockets, what do they use the money for? Are we really sure it's not part of the money that is being used to destabilize this country? Now, Nigerian Air Force has been involved, basically supporting the ground forces that are deployed in the place. I said earlier in 2003, there was this Operation Restore Hope, that was involved, and then our assets are deployed in those places. We've been supporting. I was privileged to be in a similar forum where the Chief Executive of the NMPC was mentioning and talking about the contribution of the Nigerian Air Force. And sometimes last week when the Ministry of Defense talking on the same subject, and this issue came up about some of the challenges we are facing, which I'm going to discuss with you, sir. Our headquarters is about 4 assets, both manned and unmanned. We are carrying out surveillance, and then we've been entering into these places. I came with even a PowerPoint presentation. I thought I was going to make a presentation to show you some of this, but probably in the executive session I may have the privilege to do that. We conducted about 269 missions from January to now, this year alone, and we've spent about 165,872 liters of Jet A1. I will tell you why I'm telling you this in a moment. And then we've Industry is a theater of operations. If we are going to deploy in the Niger Delta, we have to pull assets from the northeast or northwest, take them to the Niger Delta, operate for like a week, and come back again. This is a very serious challenge for us. What we've decided is have a dedicated Air Force assets for only the Niger Delta. And the National Assembly, let us get some of these assets that we can dedicate to the Niger Delta only. We also have challenge with some of our night capabilities. Nigerian Air Force insurgency started in 2009. We really have not had night capability, we've not developed that. In the last few years we've started and lost. But my little contribution as to the way forward. It's obvious to start talking about budgetary for the armed force or for the security agencies that are there. So let me share this with you. We had budget in Naira currency. We woke up one day, the money we have is less than half of its value at the end of the year. And then the cost of maintenance is on the rise. You earlier mentioned about the war in Ukraine. Most of our assets are Eastern Europe, and we're having a very big challenge now. And then we would like to see a robust oversight function from the National Assembly. Probably a little later, I'll go back to that again. There's our procurement, in my experience of 30 years in service, has always been top. It comes from the top down to bottom. It's vendor driven. So we would like to see this noted, and probably the National Assembly can help us in that regard. Then, sir, the kinetic approach from some of the courses I've attended only solves a fraction of the problem. Over 70 to 75% of the solution actually comes from the non-kinetic approach, and that has to do with good governance. May I, sir, with your kind permission, also mention that denying the fact that some of the stakeholders of security agencies are complicit in this problem is just like denying a fact. And I have a lot of respect for this parliament. I've met some few members of this parliament a few weeks back here, and with the caliber of people I see in this parliament, I think we can be able to deal with this problem. Unfortunately, if we are unable to deal with this problem, then I don't know when we can. Again, sir, then, in a forum like this, he said, look, we are talking about oil theft in the Niger Delta. Those of us seated in this room, if we decide we are going to end oil theft in this country, we are going to end it 48 hours. So, I mean, this honorable house of such kind of statement and really look deeply into the solution to these problems, and this has to do with good governance, and no other than this house can be able to push for this need. Let me just keep it here. So I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your submissions. And don't say I will be celebrating by you to ensure you succeed. Inshallah. Thank you. The next is Nigerian Navy.
On upstream, Honorable Al-Hassan Adodogwa, because I'm changing the protocol because I know we are in the technical session, and I was expecting the representative of the speaker to leave, but he's here because he is also a stakeholder in this matter. Yes, sir. Then, as the chairman of this overarching ad hoc committee to investigate this national security matter, that is Right Honorable Ruru. Let me use the last name, Ruru. And then other honorable members of this committee, ad hoc committee. Ria S. Muhammad, the Chief of Training and Operations, Naval Headquarters. And some of the foundations that the sit-ups of the HQ NAV laid are so true for us too. And we have had experience also in this, in serving in the Niger Delta. I was the Maritime Component Commander of the Joint Task Force Operation Delta Safe. For about 2 years, I remember Oji Ogbonna Oji, when we did this mighty policy dialogue. I was one that represented the Joint Task Force. And also at that time, Hamid Adio was the lead, was the one leading 90. And you were the media, you were the spokesperson. So I still remember I submitted at that 90 policy dialogue. And key to the recommendations I did that was to facilitate laws and policies to engender collaboration of the ROCs, LOCs, that's local oil companies, and host communities with Operation Delta Safe, of course, and the security agencies at large. And metering rules of flow stations, this is the monster in this environment. And they permanently have some breaching points that the remedial measures do not strengthen them enough for the people to just take advantage and come back, especially in the night hours, that our operations are limited. So the ad hoc committee actually gave us some pertinent focus that it wants to see to curbing of economic losses and ensuring that accomplices are brought to book. The naval headquarters have made submissions to me, and I've read this recommendation, so let me go ahead with the script. So we have gone over the issues that the Navy has identified over time. First and foremost, what are the factors that are actually aiding this? There's actually a kind of collaboration, a kind of syndicate, of course, that touches all aspects, because this crime cannot be done by one agency alone or one stakeholder alone. So there is this collaboration that is this, what do you call it, unethical collaboration, of course. It has been mentioned by my sister services, all the value chain of the oil production, people involved, we have people that compromise. And that is an issue. And then we have this decommissioned oil wells. International global standard, when an oil well is being commissioned, a dedicated piece is a substantial amount. And since people can cut corners, these oil wells are left properly, they are left without being properly decommissioned. Proper decommission is that once you decommission it, you cast some concrete and everything, part of the process that it will never be accessed by anybody. But this is not going on. So we have, the Nigerian Navy has over time implored, of course, the supervisory agency, the NNPC, to compel the oil companies to decommission these oil wells appropriately. This has not been possible. Then we have, of course, we say collaborators, that has been mentioned, domestic and foreign actors involved in crude oil theft, because the crime is there. So even when they come in, they have our internal collaborators. Then about effectiveness, Nigerian Navy is effective, what is effective of Nigerian Navy security architecture arrangement in curbing crude oil theft? I've already mentioned that we have one of the operations, Operation Dakata Barao, against crude oil theft, which has been, through which Navy has been making substantial progress. And of course, the Operation Delta, I was there as Maritime Component Commander. All of us represented here, we have our Maritime Component, our component commanders on ground there. But it is headed by a naval officer. And that also gives us leverage to collaborate with the commander, such that we will be, our reach and the effectiveness of our operations will come to bear on the crew. The Nigerian Navy's role in securing critical cases. So we have the Maritime Domain Awareness System that gives us complete coverage of Nigeria's maritime environment up to our exclusive economic zone. But that facility also has a deficiency. Efforts are being made so that it covers the backwaters where more substantial number of these are. So we have also gone to suggest measures, and some of these measures, most of these measures are already captured in our submissions. But one thing I want to mention is that there is need actually to look after the goose that lays the golden egg. There's need to look after the populace of the Niger Delta. We have agencies that are been set up for this, but it's public, it's common knowledge. Proper oversight, available populace for this crime will be taken off the field. They will be properly AGO and illegally refined AGO, and that is why that is preponderant. Those who steal crude oil theft, the local ones, they do what you call bullfire. And this is also a substantial industry. It fills a gap that is there. There's a gap. But there is what we call modular refineries. I'm aware there are just about 3 or so, maybe 1 or 2 that are operating, and maybe some other 1 or 2 that are under construction. There's also need to ease the enabling laws that regulate the setup of these modular refineries. Because if we set up enough modular refineries, it will take off that, so it will bridge that demand and supply gap. And also, I mean, it has a concomitant effect. It will enable many of the youth to get employed, whether it is the whole value chain of from the production of the refining of the AGOs to the market. Many of the youth will be involved in this, and they will be off the market. And of course, need for a whole society approach. Because we said this has a negative impact on the fabric or the economic strength of this country. So in a society approach, I'm always happy when a member of House of Rep or a senator is introducing himself. They take pride in identifying with where they came from. So I would like part of the issues that this area of the governors taking interest in really providing, in filling the gap of this, social deprivation gap, so that the job of the security agencies can be minimized, can be made easy. So I think with this, I want to thank the two chairmen and the honorable members of this all-important ad hoc committee. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Air Ambulance, we would like to visit your operational site sometimes next week to come and see.
Yes, I was short of inviting you, but thank God you have said you want to come and see. We will convey that to you on our staff, will appropriately arrange.
So I will invite Mr. Ebden Jestad, the embassy representative of Norwegian embassy. Let him come and say a word, please, so that we can excuse him and go. You can come forward, please. So my brother should be set after the Norwegian representative.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman and distinguished committee. So I represent the Embassy of Norway. I had the pleasure of having discussions with the ad hoc committee members yesterday. And from the Norwegian Embassy side, we have agreed that together with the ad hoc committee, we will together facilitate. We're also expecting delegation from the Norwegian government coming in end of October, and we have already agreed that they will seek an audience with the ad hoc committee. So thank you so much again for inviting us to join this session today, and yeah, very glad to be here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We appreciate your coming and extend our regards to the embassy. So yes.
No, please. I'm not a media person. So at the high table, we have made a submission quite detailed on the subject under investigation. It's actually a very serious issue of national security concern, because apart from the economy, I'm sorry to say that what is happening over there will affect the life expectancy of the citizens, of the enormous damage to the environment. And it's something that requires a holistic approach. And quite an unfortunate development, but I believe that with the resolve of this committee, or whatever will be the outcome, we pray that concrete steps will be taken to ensure that we move on as a country, and whatever that is derivable from the oil sector. I will just give some of our on this issue at length, because like I said, the submission of the DSS is supposed not to be something that can be done in public before the media and whatever, but I align myself with some of the issues which the other agencies have raised, because I believe when you go through our submission, you come across a similar thing. But for our recommendation, of course, we believe that there is that urgent need to combat corruption industry, act, deployment of technology, and other issues that will help in addressing this menace, because as a service, even some of our intelligence-driven operations, Ministry of Justice, I think so far they have arraigned over 127 suspects connected to this issue. For the intelligence sharing aspect, I think for the past 10 months, we have alerted all the agencies and this with over 350 intelligence reports across the oil-producing communities, our commands there, and at our headquarters level here.
because for this important session, apologies from my DG, but I and this very senior officer who accompanied me, we are better placed to address all the issues because these are purely in, operational matters, and it's something that we can always do justice to the issue. So thank you very much, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you. The Nigerian customs. Then after customs is native.
Honorable Speaker, House of Representatives, ably represented by Al-Hassan Abdul, the ad hoc committee chairman on the need to investigate crude oil issues of existing projects. My name is Dr. William, Assistant Controller General of Customs, in charge of enforcement, investigation, and inspection. I'm here standing in for the agency who is unavoidably absent. First and foremost, Chairman, sir, we are Nigerians. The custom officer, second. And as Nigerians, we are concerned with the theft, with oil theft in this country. We have families, we have children. We are deeply concerned. Our submission is not available today. We got the invitation very late. We will turn in our report. And you can be sure that you will get it, because we are very much concerned about oil theft in the Niger Delta area. Thank you.
Thank you. Neti. Neti, I know you can talk, so I give you only 10 minutes. Yes. Yes.
The Right Honorable Speaker, ably represented, heads up. Heads of agency present. So we really thank you for the invitation, the opportunity to speak on a matter that is of immense passion to Naiti of this ad hoc committee. And we have already made our submission in summary and also provided soft copies. In our submission, we were specific on the availability of data that we already have, beginning from 2009 when we began to show enormous interest, because in the computation of revenues earned in the sector, we found out that much of the leakage were from crude oil theft initially, crying that oil stolen, but there was no record of what has been stolen. And from 2009 to 2020, the data we collected, empirical data, showed that 609.17 million barrels, valued at $46.16 billion. When you convert in Naira, 16.25 trillion were stolen. We'll be releasing our 2021 report on the 18th of this month here in Abuja. And we have just commissioned 2022 and 2023 together. So what has been stolen over these 3 years are not added. We are as at 2020. And when you check what has been stolen, this is clearly far
more than Nigeria's oil foreign reserve as we speak. Our submission that we made are also specific on the causes of oil theft, the role of security agencies, what they have done and what they have not done, what they need to do and how they could go ahead and do them. We fully have information on the role of very high-profile members of society, the host communities, the companies themselves, and relevant government agencies who are working in the sector. The issues we raised are clearly part of submissions we made to the Special Investigation Panel on Oil Theft and Losses set up by the National Security Advisor. We worked very closely with that committee, and the job of that committee was quite extensive through the nooks and crannies of the Niger Delta, all the reported areas affected. I would like to thank Mr. Chairman for granting Flight Lieutenant Ajobena, who made presentation on behalf of the National Security Advisor's Office, because the report he has presented, 90 publicly wants to align solidly with that report. We're part of that report, and if there is any information and data that you require in public consumption, that report is very key. And it's very recent because we just submitted that report in March, just before the last administration left. And we have made publicly calls that for this matter to be dealt with extensively, the government should please look to oil companies. If you did, the oil producing trade section of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce is key. We interacted with them, and facing this kind of panel will be very useful because they are actually those at the center of the storm. They are all the oil companies that are IOCs and major marginal feeds are all members of the OPTS. To be nice to listen to them because they also feel the impact. On that note, I would like to thank the Honorable Chairman and distinguished members of the panel, my colleagues from agencies, for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
So next is the OPTS. As you rightly mentioned, they are next on the list. We have duly invited them and they are around. Okay, you can come up, please. Who is going to make the presentation? Two of you? Okay.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Chairman, and the rest of the members on the high table. My name is Gweke Ajaifia, and I represent OPTS as Executive Director. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting, because in fact we represent the power of the oil industry, and this crime of crude oil theft actually impacts us a lot. I would just want to say a few things about OPTS before we start. OPTS represents the Oil Producers Trade Section of the Lagos Commerce and Industry. And so we represent about 28 oil producing companies. The 5 IOCs plus all the indigenous companies are part of OPTS. One thing that is very important to note here is that most of our members are either partners with NNPC in JBs, the business. Now the main objective of OPTS is really to help the government to ensure that we take the right decisions. So as members of OPTS, we are always working together to ensure, for example, that to the authorities, we work with NUPRC, NMDPRA, with the agencies, the security agencies, the Navy, the police, and everybody business to ensure that we continue to keep the life source of the country, which is oil production, at the highest level. This morning we have a few slides to present, and I hope that the slides are already put in place so that my colleague here, Tony, who is in charge of our security subcommittee, will take us through the presentation.
For this presentation, I think that because we are still inviting you before the committee, I think the presentation should be at a later time because people have been here, some from 9. So if you can do it in 5 minutes.
Maybe it's, I'll just go through the key headlines.
Okay.
We've already saw security manager for Shell companies in Nigeria, and also the vice chairman of the security subcommittee of the oil producers trade section. I'll be talking about 4 or 5 key areas. The oil value chain itself. How does oil flow from the ground into the tanks and it's sold and it becomes money to the country? The nature of crude oil theft, because that's what I've responded in the last year and a half, and what we need to do. And then we also focused on where the National Assembly or this committee can play a key role. When you look at the oil value chain, it starts from the well. Most oil is found underground. It goes into the pipelines, the length of pipelines. Then it goes into a terminal. Several agencies of government are involved, aside from the oil companies. We have to get export permits, which we get from NUPRC. We have to prepare documents. Inspection is done. All sorts of agencies are there: Customs, Immigration, Navy, NIMASA, etc. After loading, we prepare shipping documents, and then we pay export supervision scheme fee. The increase and the amount. People in this room have spoken extensively about the amount in terms of naira and dollars that the country loses. However, when we look at it, in the 3 years immediately preceding now, oil theft was quite high. There was an upsurge in illegal refining. Many players, small, large communities, everybody got involved. And at some point, we're losing about 70% of the collective production of all the oil companies was being lost, about 70%. Now, how is oil stolen? Now, you have what you call illegal refining, where people take it up and use it to make illegal AGO, which then ends up in the filling stations and buy and use to power our generators. There's the illegal international trade, where barges and boats are used to ferry them through waterways onto mother ships that are outside our coastal waters, and the oil is then taken from there and money is exchanged. There's the local sale of crude oil, where some factories across Nigeria purchase and use to fire. So rather than using petrol or AGO or whatever, use crude oil to do it. One, with our equipment that we use to produce oil is stolen or vandalized. Meaning that if you have an oil well that can produce 3,000 barrels and the equipment you use to produce it is not there, then that 3,000, and you steal your 2 tankers or 3 tankers. Because it's leaking, we cannot produce it. If we cannot produce it for 1 week, 100,000 barrels a day, automatically you lose 700,000 as a result of the loss of about 1,000 barrels. So that's an important dimension in the work of this committee as well. And what supports it, and I think my distinguished colleagues on the government security agency side have mentioned a few, which is around proliferation of small arms. So when the military go in there, they are shot at. There's community collusion and participation because it's extremely profitable. There's the unavailability of petroleum products locally. So you and I probably end up, in one form or the other, abetting this criminality by buying bad fuel, what we call bad fuel, from filling stations and using to fire our generators. Then the lack of enthusiasm and the lack of progress. If you look to late 2022, the industry suffered significant losses and the oil production went down. But subsequently, we rallied. When we rallied, we got the cooperation of the government security agency sat here. We got them involved. We got all the agencies involved, and we started to tackle this crime. And in the process, we have been able to restore oil production. I think now we're 60-70% of capacity that we're producing. But it started to also give us more awareness of where the issue is. And from there, we're able to also address some of them. PIA, because other parties here have spoken about community initiatives as well. PIA is being rolled out now, even though it has its problems, but it also gives a bit of ownership. So we'd expect that some of these initiatives are even giving more acceleration, revved up so that they can be more effective. Stakeholder collaboration, Operation Delta Safe, the GSA chiefs and commanders, thank you. Many of you are here that we've even worked with on this issue. Internal collaboration with governments at various levels, advocacy sessions like this where people become more aware and us in doing this. Now, what is the current situation in the military since 2022? And that's why we saw that uptick. Third-party disruption of oil production facilities is still key. On a valve in a facility, we need to go and quickly maintain some of this oil flow can continue. But if we don't get access, if the community don't allow us in, we can't go in. So sometimes you can be locking in 100, 150, 200,000 barrels oil production a day because we're arguing about who will bring the houseboat, who will not bring it, that kind of thing. Joint investigation visits. Anytime there's a leak, before we repair it, we have to do a joint investigation visit. That includes the regulators, the communities, all the stakeholders, police and everybody. Now, we can be in that conversation for 2 weeks. So you are stuck at a point. Whatever barrels that you have in are locked in, because if you produce it into the air and you pollute the environment. So mixed results. We've had mixed results with the restoration of key production trunk lines. Our trunk lines are, so before I go into that, let me give you an example. A major trunk line that we have, the TNP, has about 340 odd illegal tap points, and 40 at a time, up to 300, more than 300. So meaning that when you have that and you have to repair, you might be disrupting your production pipelines for up to 50-60% of the time. It's not that the oil is not there, it's not that the military is not ready to help, it's not that stakeholders are not there, but because you don't have access, you cannot produce it and it's stopped. Now, when we talk about restoration of key trunk lines, that produces less than 100,000 barrels a day. So when you look at that, and many companies inject into one trunk line, so by not being able to produce it, you might be cutting off the revenue source for 7-8 oil producing companies. That is what we have. Now, because of the effort of all the stakeholders, we get good results when the trunk lines are flowing now. But how well and how often are they flowing? Because typically we will flow our trunk lines 24 hours a day, 7 days a week into the terminals. So a lot of redundancy has come into that space. So that frequent shutdown is critical, that key trunk lines like the NCTL are not flowing as we speak. So that's hundreds, at least 100,000 barrels every day that the country is missing. The trend present, we're seeing that the criminals are moving more to the shallow offshore and to wellheads. And wellheads are more diffused, they're everywhere. So they move to those things and it's difficult to focus on because from the military, it is hard. Now, also when you look at separatist agitation, it's affecting production in the Imo-Abia corridor, where there are oil companies, the Monday sit-at-homes, the disruptions, the violation. So like I said, there have been successes, but it can be better. And like the committee chairman said, Nigeria's oil production has been, our OPEC quota has been reduced because we are not showing the capability to deliver those OPEC quotas. Now, why do we need to build on successes? And we've tailored this to the work of this committee. First, support to reopen short pipelines, trunk lines. That's very critical. So we need that support from this kind of august body to reopen those trunk lines, resolve the issues around them, and get them flowing again. It's going to create a jump. And we're also going to bring a few companies back on stream that for months and years have been unable to produce, with the attendant unemployment that follows. You need to help us engage regulators, including us too, to shorten the GIB process. That process sometimes we're 2 weeks going on, whether it is collected. Sometimes you can, with one GIB issue, you can disrupt oil flow from 3 states. 3 states, you can disrupt it by just arguing about whether it is operational, technical, or sabotage. So I think this body can do a lot of work. Collaborate with the community to take disputes off the pipeline. While we can quickly repair something, take the pictures, do the investigation, let oil flow while you are resolving whether it is 100 naira will pay or 200 naira, that kind of. Funding for government security agencies to get terrain-specific equipment. On the ground, the sergeant, the corporal is struggling because the equipment sometimes not adequate, not effective, not the right type, and even the sit-ups of Air Force have spoken about nighttime capability. So we lack that capability for nighttime. The criminals come out at night, and we cannot go there because we don't have night vision, we don't have all those things. Laws are required that can. When I talk to people who don't live in the Delta, like in Abuja and Lagos, and they say, well, this so-called profile, what is it about? I laugh because he has filled his generator with illegally refined crude. But he doesn't, all these things, the product is all over the country. So what are we doing to stop that kind of product being sold in our filling stations? That's very critical. Some of this crude oil that is stolen is sold to refineries in other countries. What are we doing to stop those refineries buying that type of crude? Buying from legitimate sources in Nigeria, sourced routes. And if you do that, you cut off one chain of that one that goes strong grip on oil coming from their territories. The legal mechanisms to create deterrence and speedy prosecution. When the security agencies effect arrests, by 4, 5, 6, 7 days later, the person arrested is back in the community. He's back at work while the court case is going. And I really feel for their men on the ground because they arrest people, somebody will go out at night, risk his life, challenge himself, grab somebody, hand it over to headquarters, you hand it over for the person for prosecution. 1 week later, he's back in the community. You don't motivate the individual who is trying to prevent crude oil theft. So where are the laws? Where are the special courts? Where are those measures that we can make to ensure that there is a sufficient deterrent for people not to engage in this kind of unwholesome practice? So thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your presentations, and we hope to see you tomorrow or next tomorrow. Thank you. Next is Nostra. Nostra. I saw Baba with a green cap. She'll come off. After Nostra is Tantita Security Services, then Acosto Ultrasonic Integrity.
Honorable Speaker, ably represented, Honorable Chairman, honorable members of the committee.
Nostra, you have 10 minutes, please.
Yes, I will even spend less than that, sir. Because I've made the presentation already.
No, nobody should go out. No, we are rounding up by 2 or 2:30.
Yes,
just as I said, that is why I am speeding.
The chairman, sir, under the protection of the speaker. The cap of the moment. The cap of the moment. Thank you very much, sir. We are very humbled by your invitation to us, and we have made some submissions. We have made several submissions in the past about oil theft. And everything that has been said here today is not outside what I have submitted several times. The one that baffles us as an agent of government is the fact that all other oil producing countries use technology to prevent this type of problems we are having. Here we say we give security surveillance to villagers. To do what? Somebody will stick. You go and surveillance of what? That is the problem. We have recommended technology for manning all these oil installations several years back. And indeed, the last one I submitted, I had some of the presentation here were more or less like word for word, verbatim for what I submitted in the past. So we have made the submission to the secretariat here. We will be available at any point in time to come and defend or speak more on those promises. But we know that, quite honestly, we lose a lot of revenue from oil. Even from the remainder on the environment after three-phase recovery, still sum up to certain amount of several millions of US dollars. And in one of the other committees we appeared before in the Senate, provided 5 good areas that should be looked into as the source of this oil theft. One, we said, look into the host communities. There is no community, I've been in this sector for over 2 decades. When you go with your hillocks into an area, you just look back 10 minutes after, you see not less than 15 motorcycles behind you. What do you define for our forest? But they see hillocks, they do not see tankers. They do not see barges. And when the barge is being moved by tugboat, it's like a bulldozer walking at the backyard here. Who will not hear the sound? We have mentioned the people who are giving call-off contracts by the oil companies. If there is no vandalism, if there is no oil spill, what are you going to do? So they create market for themselves. They create jobs for themselves. Within the oil industry itself, they do lay off people in segments. A time was some people call their own happy. They go back. They are the ones who provide the wherewithal technology to drill into these pipes. These pipes are not, they are not water pipes that we have in our homes. High pressure pipes, very thick, high quality. How do they know how to feed valves? What the gentleman from SPDC said under OPTS is quite true. 4,000 barrels of oil was paid, although about 3,600 was recovered at that time. Because of that incident, the company that owned that asset replaced a 97-kilometer pipeline outright. The one that was abandoned is still there, not decommissioned though. I've always asked questions about that. But the new one that was installed within the first year of commissioning had 52 tappings. 52 tappings, brand new 97-kilometer pipeline, NCTN, Nembe Creek trunk line. In this speak about trunk line not being available, trunk line is quite true. That's where many of them hook to transport products to Benin oil and gas export terminal. So these things don't work that way. So we have 3 now. Then we have field contractors. One is for repair, another one to clean the environment. And last but not the least, the fact that we have our security agencies here, I think they still need to do more. They work, but then most of those places where we have these issues are not far from boat houses where we have some of us. So directly point to them because ample evidence have been given. They go there in the night, and since there are no infrared or night vision equipment, they are not magicians, they cannot see. So there is a limit to the blame we can give to them. In other words, we need technology to look into this aspect of oil theft. And overall, there is a gentleman here who introduced himself at the back here. We took this man we are talking about. You will see, you will know where.
The man around here?
Yes, sir.
Where is
your
he?
back here. He's at your back here. He has appeared before your committee before.
Okay.
And at a point in time, the NSA, under President Jonathan, I can't recall the name exactly, called many of us, just something like this, into the NSA office there. When the gentleman came in, and virtually all of us in the hall as we are here appears to know him. It was a surprise to the representative of the NSC who chaired that particular meeting. That so if all of you know him, why are you not using his services? But we see some of us, government agencies.
So you mean the man had the technology to...
He has. Indeed, he was given a contract, along the line it was stopped. For what reason? And then, I'm told the contract is now being reintroduced somehow, I don't know, maybe because of your committee, something has to be done. But the fact is, we are the problems of ourselves. We can solve this problem of oil theft if we all say, let us put a stop. I happen to be in one committee chaired by the NNPC group group managing director, where he said, let us all accept blame and let us turn a new leaf. But we are yet to turn the new leaf. So this is the problem we have, sir. And this is also giving us a very, very serious challenge. Somebody mentioned, what is the proceeds of this oil theft used for? Small arms acquisition. And small arms can be used against anybody. And we see that happening day in, day out. I will rest my case, sir. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate your presentations. The next is Tantita Security Services Limited. And the last, but not the least, a custom, ultrasonic integrity. Yes. Honorable Abese, you are right on your okay.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, sir. I'm still Honorable Philip Agwesi. I represent the good people of Adolf Moko Federal constituency, sir. I've observed that we are moving from the government agencies to private organizations, and it seems to suggest that some organizations have refused, to make submissions. Okay. Well, for the economic and financial. Okay, for the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, one can understand because the DSS is here. No, I mean, yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I understand that the chairman is with them, but I think their operations are still going on, and they are not here. So NIMASA is also not here. Nigerian Midstream Downstream Regulatory Authority is also not here. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources is also not here. The Nigeria Upstream Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, and of course the NNPC Limited are also not here. Mr. Chairman, sir, Mr. Speaker had earlier commended those who made it here and sent his words to those represented, that subsequent times they should make sure that the chief executive officers of those agencies are here, that we extend the left hand to those who have refused to respect this parliament. It is on this note, Mr. Chairman, sir, that I rise to move.
Are you moving a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, sir.
Okay, move.
Mr. Chairman, sir, I rise to move a motion in accordance with the rules of this House and the constitutional provisions setting up this legislature, that these individuals, I wish to mention them one after the other, sir. NNPC Limited, Nigeria Upstream Regulatory Commission, Nigeria Midstream Downstream Regulatory Authority, NIMASA, EFCC, Nigeria Inland Waterways Authority, the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, the Honorable Minister of Finance, the Honorable Minister of Trade and Investment, that they appear before this committee or be summoned to appear before this committee 10 a.m. tomorrow as the House pleases, Mr. Chairman, sir.
Any seconder? Honorable.
Mr. Chairman, with your kind permission, I still remain Honorable Sesi Oluwase Wingan. I represent the people of Badagry Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State. We have all the people that we extended, all the agencies that we extended the invite to, not here today. We want them here tomorrow. I so move. I so second.
Is that the position of the committee that they appear tomorrow unfailingly by 10 a.m.? Okay. So next, Tantita Security Services Limited. Are they around?
The representative of the Honorable Speaker, the Chairman, Ad hoc Committee, members, and others here.
Tantita, we don't have your submission before us. We need your submissions as
we did, but we thought we were going to present, but we'll send it.
You only have 10 minutes to say what.
No problems at all. That's okay, sir. Now, one thing I want to bring to the attention of the House is the fact that One of the things that's aided this crude oil theft is you have a lot of government agencies and the private sector that don't talk to each other. You can imagine on the road, you'll find trucks carrying oil, and they are carrying oil. This was what we found out. They get one genuine documentation from the government agency. They will duplicate the number plates and also that genuine documentation, put them in 6, 7, 8 trucks. They will either follow each other 1 hour behind or follow different routes. All real and the model of a vehicle. How can this happen? In the East-West Road where every
roadblock of security agencies?
Of course. Checkpoints. How can this be possible? That's one. One other thing you have to look into. I say it here, I know they are here, I'm not scared to say it. Those that don't produce enough are those who pay people to go break pipelines to beef up their volumes. The agencies that issue documentation to carry oil, license to carry oil, which is wrong. It's not proper. There was a committee in this country that was. There are people who can get you all the documentation if you don't have a badge for a fee. The moment you pay that fee, they will give you all the clearances you are looking for. And then when you catch them, they will present government paper to you. We have authority from so agency. We have a lot of pressure on it. Somebody inside the oil company must have told them. Now there's another method. After we caught a couple of ships stealing oil directly because of radar, we caught them. But they don't know we have superior technology to find out. Now we cannot hide ourselves. One of Nigeria's biggest problems in West Africa is Ghana. Ghana is a big beneficiary of Nigeria's stolen oil. Let us say it as it is. We're not going to hide. Smaller ones, it's Tema they go to. Some service ships that are outside. If we are going to buy technology from outside, with all due respect, I grew up in Australia. Please be very careful. The same persons who will sell you technology may be high-end. Go and check why one of the pipelines is not pumping. The adult committee should go and check why. Just a tiny crack. A tiny crack. Oh, no approval from outside the country. And the country cannot export its oil. How can this be? And like a canal for miles going into the bush to serve somebody's refinery. And somebody can say they didn't see. I don't think this is true. There must be very high level involvement in all of this. So I would like to stop it here because I have only 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tantito. Next, Acosta Ultrasonic Integrity Services Limited. Are they around? So, brother, please, you only have 10 minutes, please.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Daten. I have developed a system has been tested NMPC pipelines, both crude oil and product line. In brief, I was awarded contract to secure a segment of crude oil export line, 15 kilometers. I brought the equipment since 2017. I was denied access to the pipeline until after about 4 weeks ago. Can you please?
You mean after you are awarded a contract?
Yes.
You supply?
Yes, to secure the crude oil export line, 15 kilometers, leaching, focados, loading line. I was access to pipeline to deploy the system.
So who awarded the contract in the first instance?
NNPC. That time, this NPDC was the pipeline operator. And after this long period of time, they said the pipeline operator is heritage. So they were just playing like that. So it was to cut it short out access to the pipeline. Immediately I deployed my system. Even yesterday. So there is a place called Shalome. Shalome East, Shalome West. There is Pocketos receiving manifold. That is a compound. There is a tap from the crude oil line into a compound where they siphon crude oil onto smaller batch and sell through to the sea. This is a result of what I have deployed as per yesterday night. And presently now, there's a export line, crude oil line belonging to Shell. My system is on that crude oil export line since 2014. There are about 12 illegal connections onto the offshore pipeline. It's 28 kilometers inside sea. At the moment I was saying, those connections are still existing. Since 2014, Shell, after deploying some part of my equipment, they showed me. So I couldn't get access to Shell.
Did you submit this report to Shell?
I said they blocked me. I don't even have, they don't communicate with me. Yes. No, nothing now. They only allow me access after 5 years to cover the only 3 kilometers, which, as I said, based on my technology, we have located places where the pipeline is being tapped.
Okay, I think there is a, I don't know whether...
Chairman, sir, just to ask you a question. You say you've been now access to this pipeline in the last 4 weeks?
4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, within 4 weeks.
I was able to deploy my system
within the 15 kilometers. Within those 4 weeks,
yes.
How many intrusions have you detected?
There are many. Okay. There are more than 46.
Thank you.
More than 46.
As I said, even now there's an attack on the pipe at Yeye. Now, on my mobile phone, I can program. This system can be programmed onto your mobile handset and any available device that can hook to internet.
Okay,
you
Doctor.
can put a pipeline in your room using your mobile handset.
Doctor, who and who are supposed to see?
Sir?
Who are you reporting to?
I beg your pardon, sir?
Who are you reporting to?
I programmed the owners of the asset of the pipelines. They gave me names because I need names, email address, and phone number so that I can program whatever is happening on your pipeline. You receive a text. Even if you deny to log onto your computer, you receive a text, like you receive money. When you click on your text, you will see your HMI. You will see tampering. They gave me names, Mele Kiari, Lizara, Peter Duke, about I think 9.
And nobody is responding.
Nobody is communicating with me, and yes, the emails. So the attack, they are receiving the attacks as I tell.
So and the government is still paying you for the contract awarded to you?
No. They awarded the contract 5 years ago. So I brought the equipment since then. No, they awarded the contract to protect only 3 kilometers. And the pipeline is about, I think, 108 kilometers. But, you know,
you see, that is why we are insisting for NNPC and the other stakeholders to be around. And even they are around, that they can quickly respond to what you are saying.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that...
I have questions for other people, but for you, sir. In this, we are home video. That's what I want to call it. This is your home video. You sit down, you see something happening. Willy is running up and down. Have you ever sighted anybody that looks like a security man with stick or with gun on any of those pipelines?
Look at. Somebody was talking about crossover. This is one of the crossovers from. I will not mention the location from Wari linked to this crude oil line to Kaduna refinery. This is a crossover with 4 hot taps point. There is somebody with a gun. So we use satellite to get these pictures, not camera, satellite. Based on the movement on the crossover, the activities happening, so we zoom our existing device with the computer, we got this image. Well, he's guarding his own personal bomb, sir. He's just.
Okay, Honorable Abese.
Yeah.
Speak to your mic.
When you were given this contract, and some numbers were given to you, a certain range of pipeline was given to you.
Yes, I guess I was given to monitor 50.
Yes. So within
gas line.
Good for this area that you were given, right? You were given the phone numbers of those persons who.
No, I requested phone numbers so that I can program if there's an attack on their pipeline, they can receive a text and onto the text and see what is happening on their pipeline.
Okay, so in your own house, right?
Yeah.
So why didn't you request the telephone numbers of security agencies to also be encoded?
That is not that. They gave a contract. They gave a contract.
Well, life is well.
Okay, so
one house.
Okay, Mr.
One house, please.
Mr. Chairman, I seek your protection, sir.
One house, please.
I seek your protection, sir. So it is very likely to suggest that the owners of the pipeline are not interested in the security agencies securing these pipelines.
So that is not.
I bet so that is why we say we need them to be around tomorrow. You can reserve your questions.
Mr. Chairman,
no, I am overruling you, Mr. Besse. That is why we say we need them to come tomorrow. Mr. Hold on, please. That is why the committee decided to summon these people to appear tomorrow. Had they been there around, they can either confirm or deny what you are saying. That is the essence of them to be here. So I will give you another time. Maybe you can come tomorrow by 10.
Okay.
You can make the same presentation or allegations.
No, sir, I'm not alleging anybody.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
It is either presentation, yes, so that they can have right to.
Yes, sir. Okay,
yes.
Sir. And again, come in again.
Yes.
There was line, a gas line. The main umbilical cord of AKK line. There are some bulbs along 58 kilometers. Those bulbs are supposed to be there to purify our gas for export. So I was requested to submit quotation to secure those bulbs, which I started working on it. I'm a Nigerian. Based on trust, I deployed some of my sensors, some of my devices along that 58 kilometers. So at the moment, to cut it short, from those 38 purifying bulbs, 22 are missing. And they do not allow me to complete the project.
22 are missing.
Each one then, 2018, it cost $750,000 each one bulb. Now 20-something are missing. They gave me that portion to secure that thing, but they didn't allow me access, so they were able to.
Were you being paid?
I've already been paid that portion. I did the technical job, paperwork and engineering design. So I managed to install my sensors, anticipating that I would get the job. But at a later date, after doing all those technical work, nobody gets back to me as regards to gas. And as regards to crude oil line, there are many crude oil lines that I have worked on. They collected quotations, and my equipment are on them. No response, but it will be. He says that maybe tomorrow when they are around, then I can be able to.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Honorable Doko, you have a question?
Dr. Ado, what you are saying here appears to me to be a very serious issue. May we know who gave you the contract, first of all?
NNPC.
NNPC gave you the contract.
That is for particular meters. Yes, the contract.
No, don't bother.
Okay.
Now they gave you the 15 kilometers for you to secure for them, which is for the country.
Yes.
And all of them are part of being able to know when anybody taps the line.
Yes, I programmed their mobile handset and phone numbers. As I receive text, when they touch my bell, they receive it.
And none of them has ever communicated with you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
So, sir, if you want, I can program your phone numbers so that you too.
No, don't program my own.
As from today, you will see what is happening.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I am beginning to wonder if what is happening in this country is not organized crime. Because if somebody is supposed to be protecting my own property, and I have access to knowing when that property is being stolen,
since 2010,
and I decide to keep mute, then it means that what we're trying to do is we're trying to stop the bleeding that is going on in this country. It will shock you if you go to parts of the Niger Delta to see the level of degree. Thank you very much.
Following from what my brother and my colleague has just stated, our Genombek Dagomi Abiante is my name, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we have sat through for a few hours.
My problem is to pronounce your name.
We have sat through for a few hours. Aside, sadly, almost every big man using the street palace, almost every big man that has been invited here, it simply shows the level of disdain that this nation has for even those who produce, lamented that there are no access to even where the vegetation is gone. Yet people that were supposed to protect all of us would find alerts, indicators on their phone that something is happening somewhere, and they will keep a blind eye. Mr. Chairman, I want to move for a rescission of the motion that my brother just raised that we passed, and rather call for the summon. If you invite him, he might choose not to come again. We want you to invoke all the legislators that shunned this invitation. They must appear, as a matter of summon, must appear before this committee 10 a.m. tomorrow for further interrogation, so we understand exactly where our pains is coming from. Let us understand if this is organized, like my brother suggested. There are organizations that have what they call choke points. What are they choking? You will deploy a houseboat, and we will spend money maintaining the houseboat and the human beings there, and yet vessels will pass with stolen crude products, and we are calling it choke point. What are we choking? By tomorrow, all should be here so that we can interrogate these issues properly and situate our pains. If we want them to continue, then we will know, and we will encourage those who want to go ahead to go ahead. If we want to stop it, we should have that political will. We should have courage enough. What is lacking in all that has been said here is patriotism. Nobody is patriotic. The Navy has left their duties, and they want to take that which has been legally assigned to the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Critical assets, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. They will tell us what is very attractive, that they want to leave the duties of protecting the territorial integrity of the country to be following oil pipelines offshore and onshore.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman. I so submit. I put a motion.
Before your motion, Mr. Abiante, thank you for your patriotic contributions. You see, we decided to give them time to appear tomorrow. We have to give them appear here and let them come tomorrow. If they fail to come, that is how, or that is when we will now take your own motion. So please let us give them tomorrow by 10 to appear as be moved and seconded and approved by the committee. Thank you. Okay, Honorable Besson. You'll be the last one to speak on this issue now.
Thank you very much, again. In the event that you are able to make it, permit me to just one or two questions to the Nigerian Navy and the Nigerian Army for just
okay.
The Chief of Army Staff, sir. I listened very carefully to your presentation, and I recall that before this motion was moved before the House, that there was an allegation by a very patriotic Nigerian that the military, in one way or the other, may be involved in this activity.
Honorable Abese,
Yes.
I overrule you because
No, sir.
we say we have an executive session.
No,
I overrule you. I overrule you.
Sir, can I go to the second question?
No.
To the Navy, sir.
No questions for today. No questions. Yes. So thank you very much. I don't know whether there is anybody that come to speak. I don't know. Because these are serious issues, and we need to know the roots of what is really happening. You have done well today by appearing. I am appealing to you to kindly come back tomorrow again, because we want to know the nitty and gritty of what is actually happening, so that by tomorrow the NPC will be around. Hopefully all the other stakeholders that we invited to come tomorrow. So I'm kindly appealing to you to come back tomorrow. Thank you. Yes, and any group that does not submit the memorandum, that should kindly do it, please, between today and tomorrow. Move a motion for adjournment. 1 hour, please. 1 hour, please.
My own constituency, the military, and all gentlemen and ladies that are here this afternoon. I am Air Vice Marshal Joao. I'm representing the good people of Ekiti, South Federal Constituency 1. In the absence of anything for this proceeding this moment, I want to move the adjournment that this meeting should step down.